In the lively atmosphere in the ballroom, a figure of a woman leaves the lively atmosphere as she walks towards the open balcony as she looks up at the night sky.
Marriage with someone who you don't love.
As Anastasia sighs, she couldn't even enjoy the night view, she thought. Suddenly, she heard the sound of rustling in the tree. She couldn't help but get scared of the unknown. And suddenly, something jumped out. She closes her eyes and uses her small arms to protect her. She waited for the pain, but she didn't feel anything. When she opened her eyes, the first thing she saw were the beautiful emerald eyes. I am so sorry. Milady, are you hurt? A young man whose hair is full of twigs and leaves. His hair looks like a nest. Anastasia couldn't help but giggle at his appearance. The man couldn't help but stare at her. She continued to watch her.
What are you looking at?
You. There was an awkward silence. Anastasia was so surprised by the sudden response. She didn't expect that kind of response. She was caught off guard. What I mean is that you look beautiful. I'll wait, but Anastasia covered the mouth of the man. He couldn't help but turn stiff because of the sudden action. He heard the sound of footsteps and waited until I went away. This is my first time meeting a bald woman just like you. Anastasia jumps and moves a foot away from the man. She blushes in front of him like a ripe tomato.
How rude of you!
He laughed and walked towards her, then introduced himself to Anastasia. I am the second son of Count Winterberg, Azrael Winterberg, as he kisses the hand of Anastasia and looks at her.
Anastasia Montesquieu, the only daughter of Duke Montesquieu. You have twigs and leaves in your hair, Sir Azrael.
He just realized that his hair was just like a nest, as he tried to clumsily get it off. But didn't work out as he thought. Anastasia walked towards him and gently picked the twigs on his hair. She smiled at him. The moment he saw Anastasia on the balcony, he couldn't help but admire her beauty. So when he tried to get her closer, he ended up scaring the lady.
Here, I got you.
Azrael let his hair be taken care of Anastasia, as he enjoys the gentle touches in his hair. He couldn't help but yearn for more. He wished that this moment would last, but unfortunately, time didn't left him. Can I fancy you for a dance, milady?
It would be my pleasure.
The two dance under the moonlight, as their eyes never leave each other, as their bodies sway to the music of the bar.
My lady, your presence is needed in the study room.
By whose order?
It is by your father's order.
Very well. Greetings, father. I hear you require my presence.
Anastasia as she looked at the paper. It was all about marriage to the crown prince, the heir to the throne.
Father, why am I married to the crown prince?
As her voice trembled, she wished it was not what she was thinking. She hoped to give her mercy. She didn't want to marry a man who she didn't love.
The cabinet has chosen you as the crown princess, as you have all the qualifications to be the next queen.
But father...
No buts! You must remember your duty as a woman is to give birth and stay obedient. Fix that rebellious personality of yours. It is not fitting for a woman to be wed to the imperial family.
Just because I am a woman, it doesn't mean I can't make my own decision.
You have only one job.
And what is that job?
Your opinion doesn't matter. Be a good wife is your job.
So you're saying that being a woman doesn't deserve an opinion, an opportunity, just like men?
Enough! This matter is settled. You have no choice but to obey.
Anastasia couldn't believe her father sold her to the imperial family. For him to have a favor from the imperial family, she used her as a tool to achieve his goals. She was nothing but a pawn to her father. She left the study in anger as she made her way to the garden to refresh her mood. She then walked back and forth around the garden. Does he not care for my opinion? And he dismisses me because I'm a woman. How dare he? I can do also the same as a man can do. He even sold me to the imperial family to gain more favor from them. He didn't care for my opinion in the first place. The reason why he carefully raised me is because of this day. He didn't love me at all. When Anastasia realizes that his father didn't love her at all, she denies that maybe there's still hope. Maybe he loves her more than the Imperial's family favor. The more she denies, the more it fits the picture. Everything he has done was for this moment. She falls to the ground and cries in front of the statue of her mother. She looks at the statue in tears and speaks at the statue as if she's talking to her mother. Mother, if you are still alive, would things go differently? Oh, Mother, please tell me what to do. She can still remember the soft laughter of her mother as she cradles her close to her bosom.
My dear Anastasia, you should remember these words. They might come in handy someday. Life is not fair. You must learn to adapt and observe your surroundings. You must learn that no matter what they say, do not waver. Strike when the enemies lower their ground. Men always think that women buy a mere decoration in their house. Remember this, child. Use this to your advantage. Let them think that you are just what they thought, to keep your knife hidden. Then strike when they didn't expect. Remember these words that I said, my child. They would always come in handy no matter what situation you are in.
Anastasia wipes her tears just like what her dear mother said to her. I mustn't show my weaknesses. I must strike when they don't expect. It's time to make a decision. Anastasia's eyes held bravery and a fierceness like a strong warrior. Watch me, Mother, to put a ripple in this era. As Anastasia leaves the garden with a strong determination in her heart.
Anastasia enters the door and the party has started. The first thing she must do to achieve her goals is to have allies. If she wanted to give women equality the same as men, she must learn to stand on her feet. In her list, she has chosen 3 ladies based on an information guide that she asked for without her father's notice. If her father knew her plans, he would do everything to stop her plans to achieve his goals. Her first target was Lady Belero, the daughter of Baron Heron. She was the first woman who had the right to control her own business. She was one of the people who earned a lot of attention. She was once married before her husband cheated on her. She was also the first woman ever divorced. After her divorce, she started a business and became successful. She then earned the nickname the Merchant Queen. The second target is Lady Merida. She was the second daughter of Earl Thompson. She was the first female knight to be recognized by the king. She pretended to be a man and joined the army. She defeated the leader of the bandits in the west and brought victory to the kingdom. The last target is Princess Victoria. She is the first princess of the kingdom and also the social butterfly of the kingdom. She has every single information about every gossip, which made her the most powerful woman figure in this era. I don't try to convince them to be my ally, then things wouldn't change. Men would still underestimate women. Although there's a lot of disadvantages on my side, I have cards that I need.
Here's goes nothing.
Anastasia enters the guest room where three guests are waiting for her. She then bows in front of them.
Welcome you to my home. Sorry for the invitation that made you hurry to attend this meeting.
Princess Victoria then puts down her tea, then looks at Anastasia, observing her if she is worth her attention and time. But she must remain patient because the reason she came to this meeting was what Anastasia holds, and that thing would help her gain what she always wanted. She didn't show any emotions. Tell us, Lady Anastasia, if the things you said on the letter, can you do it? Lady Merida taunts Anastasia. She is interested in what she has offered to her in the letter that she had sent. The offer she gave was the right of succession. Women are not allowed to be an heir of the house, as they deem women as illiterate and too naive to hold power in politics. The reason why it interests her is that what she offers is no ordinary deal, which makes it even more interesting.
Of course, you wouldn't believe me immediately. Then let me prove it to you.
Anastasia then shows papers to the ladies. As they read through the paper, everyone was surprised and didn't believe it at first. After they reread it again, then they look at Anastasia in disbelief. How did you get this information?
That's a trade secret.
Then she sips on her tea. Princess Victoria seems to be silent. They all look at each other, then observe what would happen next. You do know that in this paper can hold treason to the royal family, Lady Anastasia.
I do very well know that, Your Highness. But I also do know that among us, you have the biggest grudge over the royal family, despite being a royal itself.
You do know when to hit the right mark, don't you, Lady Anastasia? Princess Victoria offers her hand to Anastasia, which she accepts.
It would be a pleasure to work with you all astonishing women like you.
It was on this day the alliance of the four talented women who would become the important figures in the next following eras. Milady, are you ready?
Anastasia's maid Dolores hands her a fan. She looks at it, then picks it up, and turns around and opens her fan.
It is time.
Anastasia enters the carriage with her father. They are both silent to each other. Anastasia refuses to look at her father.
You must obey what your fiancé tells you. It is your duty as a woman to serve your husband. Do you understand? Acknowledge me, you useless woman!
Anastasia just glares at him only to keep an angry hum. Then she looks away from the pathetic face of her father, which made the Duke get even angrier. He then tried to ease his hunger, because today would be the announcement of the union of the imperial family and the family of Duke Monchestia. Anastasia and her father walked towards the door. Her father strengthened his grip on her arm, which made her flinch in pain.
A woman should remember her duty. You must always remember this, because this is the only way to bring honor to her family.
Anastasia grits her teeth in anger, but she calms her anger. Those people who underestimated her for being a woman shall pay for their crimes. The doors open by 100 pairs of eyes, the eyes of people who are waiting for you to make an even tiny mistakes, and when they do, they will tear you apart with their vicious words.
I present to you Duke Manchester and Lady Anastasia.
They gave way to a higher ranked noble as the duke is only second highest authority than the imperial family.
I present to you King Henry and Queen Elizabeth, Princess Victoria Beliote, and the heir to the throne, Crown Prince Luke Beliote.
Everyone then bows in the presence of the king and queen, as well as to the princess and crown prince. They walk on the red carpet and they arrive on the throne.
I welcome you all, dear subjects, on this glorious and festive occasion. As you may know, my son, Crown Prince Luke, has finally chosen a bride. I am here to announce to everybody the Crown Princess of Biliotic Kingdom.
Then the king's eyes landed on Anastasia and smiled at her.
Lady Anastasia of Manchester, darling, please join us to this joyful occasion.
Anastasia walks toward the imperial family together with her father, then bows at them.
I greet His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen, as well as the Crown Prince Luke. You may rise. Now, darling, would you like to give a speech to your future subjects, as you are the next queen of the kingdom?
Anastasia looks around and watches the nobles commoners below her. The commoners cheer for Anastasia as they welcome the new crown princess of the kingdom. She saw Lady Bolero and Lady Victoria looking at her. They nodded at her and she smiled at them. They were all waiting for her, as her heart started to race and her hands sweat a lot. But she needed to be brave because it's the only chance she can speak. She must not fail. No, she will not fail. She takes a deep breath and looks forward. I will humbly decline to be the crown princess of the kingdom. Such a declaration caused a lot of gasps, and the nobles were in turmoil. Even the imperial family was surprised by the sudden declaration of Anastasia. The Duke of Manchester is now burning with anger, his face turning so red as red pepper. Anastasia ignores the murmurs and turmoil of the nobles. To everyone, what is the duty of a woman? To sit pretty and be obedient to her husband's orders? To give birth and fall under men's authority as they believe they are more powerful than women? Well, I believe that women can do the same as men. Women can stand on their own feet just like any other man. We can be strong and independent just like any other man out there. We don't need men to survive, which can change everything. Just like Lady Bolero, she can stand on her own and even became a successful woman in business. Lady Miranda became the first female knight ever known in history. If you stay put and listen to what others say to you, you won't be able to change anything. We're being ranked, dismissed, and assaulted just because we're just women. A woman who has no right nor opinion on such matters. Because if we did go against them, we receive criticism of being not good enough. They don't know what being a woman is. They don't know what our position is. Nobody cares about their opinions, nor even women is. They don't know what our position is. To women who are listening right now, on this day, a new horizon is presented to us. Join me and we can change the world and prove those people wrong that we're worth more than just being a wife. The woman who heard Anastasia couldn't help but be touched by her words, as her word put a ripple in their hearts, as they remembered the days where their husbands underestimated them, assaulted them, even if they begged but still couldn't fight back, as they must allow the rules of being a good wife. As much as how beautiful the speech of Anastasia that touched a lot of heart, the cruelty of reality didn't change anything to those wicked hearts.
Anastasia was jailed in the dungeons for disobeying the imperial family and shaming the honor of women. How ridiculous the excuse of the imperial family for her to be jailed and shut her mouth. She was then punished by execution, she became the uncouth and disrespectful woman ever known. The men criticized her as a witch and other unpleasant names, as they believed that a woman shouldn't disobey people who are higher than them, especially men. The noblemen glee at her punishment as they gossip and enjoy her misery. They cut her tongue for the pathetic speech she made, and was abandoned by her father, as she was the stain of the honored family of Manchester. Her father abandoned her. Until the end, no one was with her. Even her beloved Azrael couldn't visit her, as she was the traitor of the kingdom. Even Azrael begged the king to reconsider, but he ignored the pleas that even devastated him even more. On the day of execution and death of Anastasia, a rebellion happens, led by Lady Merida. As they surrounded the imperial palace, as they have evidence against the imperial family. They accuse them of embezzlement of citizens' money and force commoners to work until death. They have imprisoned in the dungeon. Then a trial happens 3 days after. The papers that Lady Anastasia presented back then were evidence of illegal activities of the imperial family. It was part of the plan that she must die. She must be the trigger, and her allies must succeed in cornering the imperial family and making Princess Victoria the new leader of the kingdom. The ladies convinced her to choose another option, but she was determined. They only listen when somebody is dead. Ironic, isn't it? The words of a living didn't much worth until you're dead. Such the king was abdicated and was executed together with the king who manipulated behind the scenes and even started a human trafficking. The scandal didn't just end there. The crown prince was found out communicating with other countries, even planning to sell his own country as he failed to uphold the promise of opening the borders, forcing other countries to pay high price for entering the borders. All imperial family was sentenced to death, and then Princess Victoria rose from the throne and became the new king of the kingdom. When King Victoria take the throne, the women has given the same rights as men, although there were a lot of backlash against nobles. But King Victoria made him shut up, and everything worked out. The death of Lady Anastasia has caused a lot of devastation. She became the symbol of the revolution of women. Azrael, after knowing the plan of her beloved Anastasia, made him so sad because he felt he was useless. Now, he became the director of an organization that helps women who has ever been abused and abandoned by their own family. He didn't marry until he died of old age. I love Anastasia till the end. And the story ends here.
Anastasia's bravery to speak out for the women of the era is admirable, because she did what she had to do in order to fight for the equality of men and women. She made them realize their true worth as a woman, and that they deserve to receive the same freedom and treatment as men. It is important that women speak out when they experience being mistreated by men, because they have no right to hurt and control us. If we do not speak up, and no one will have the courage to do so, women will remain inferior to men, and we do not want that, because we are also capable of doing things that men can do. It takes an action for everything to change, and it is up to us to fight for what is right.
One shouldn't underestimate the power of women. Women can be silent, but they are dangerous when they raise their voices to speak out. Men can do the things that women can't, but women also can do the things men can't do too. Being a woman is hard. A lot of judgmentals, can't be respected, and some men think women are losers. Behind every woman, there's a lot of failures hiding. No one can defeat women. Even this quote, we need women at all levels, including the top, to change the dynamic, reshape the conversation, to make sure women's voices are heard and heeded, not overlooked and ignored. By Cheryl Sandberg.
Lady Anastasia's deed made a ripple in the heart of women. She fought for their rights until her death. Her death has caused a revolution and changed the era where women and men are equal. It is a new era that the following generation would remember. It is an era where hierarchy rules over and many injustices happen right before our nose and we didn't even realize. The arrogance of being in a higher position and authority doesn't give you the right to underestimate those people who you believe below you. The cruelty of reality is what makes a person stronger, shape the person who they are. Just like Anastasia, she resisted the perception in her era that everyone is equal, be it men or women.